inside a well, life can get tangled. Might the money. Might the money. Might the money. I'm making money, Mike the.
This podcast or broadcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, tax, or professional advice. Always consult a licensed professional for specific advice related to your situation. Thank you.
The first segment we're going to be talking about obviously is the emotional side of business, and we're going to talk about stress, overwhelm, and CEO guilt. So how does stress, overwhelm, and CEO guilt affect human performance?
So, if the body is stressed out,
Right.
you can't think,
Right.
you can't speak, you can't perform.
Mm.
Simple as that. If you are overwhelmed, you can't gather your thoughts.
Mm.
You can't articulate. You can't sell yourself. The body does not perform.
Right.
Okay? CEO guilt being poor delegation. So if you are doing everything and not delegating anything, okay, you're going to be frozen in performing because you're going to get overwhelmed and stressed from having to do everything and wear all the hats. So you either need to do one or two things. Either you need to build systems into your business to help support you as a solopreneur, or you need to be able to go ahead and hire and start to build your team and your company culture.
Okay, I got you. I got you. So, business strategist. So how does stress affect decisions you make business strategist wise? Did I say that right? Hey.
Well, you got to understand what is the focus of the stress. Okay, is it something that you're doing that you feel uncomfortable with,
Okay.
but you're forced to do? Or is it something that you're doing because, like she said, you didn't delegate it, or you did delegate it and the person that you delegated it to has sent it back to you because they didn't handle the assignment well? Where then that conversation may turn into, I need to let you go. A lot of people cannot let people go. To be honest, one of the things that Forbes said that messes up a lot of businesses is people have a lot of people on the payroll more for company and companionship than for performance. So, and that would bring a stress on you because you're paying someone a salary, but they're not doing a job. They just your friend on the job.
Does that lead into CEO guilt then? Like, does that lead into that topic?
Well, I'd be guilty if I losing my money and I'm had to do the work myself. Because when you hire people to do a job, they should do the job.
But if they keep your mental well-being up, is it worth keeping them around?
No, they just giving you companionship at work.
So you saying, hey, fire them and y'all still be friends after work? Then you losing the friend. Then you overwhelmed because you stressed out because you fired your friend, and that's the person that was keeping you on the job, right? I mean, keeping you stable on the
Now,
job.
if I fire them and get somebody to do the job, I'm not stressed. And I don't need a companion. I can get home early and I can do my regular life. I can have work-life balance.
So you saying forget them folks. I don't care about their mental well-being. I ain't caring about, they'll call you and say they livelihood messed up. But no, if it's gonna be the right decision, let them go. And to push your business forward, you say just do it because that's the right decision.
Entrepreneurship is an investment.
Right.
And a lot of people lose focus of that. My money's on the line. Yeah. I owe people if I borrow money to do this. So am I supposed to care more about somebody's feelings? Or am I supposed to care about the fact that I got to pay payroll? And part of this payroll is somebody who didn't work.
I got you. So as far as feelings are concerned in the workplace, when would you draw the line? Like how do y'all as business owners operate in your feelings, or do you not operate in your feelings? Do you operate off emotional intelligence? And what is the difference and why do you do it?
With me, it's always been about the performance.
Okay.
You are working because you solve a problem I have. I need a certain function done. The minute you don't solve that problem, you give me more excuses than performance, I have to let you go.
So even if you got a tight relationship with them and y'all cool, you let them go?
I had to let them go.
That's kind of hard,
I used to have this joke. If I hired my mother to just show up and answer the phone and she decided that she wouldn't come there and answer the phone, I had to let her go.
Okay, so you got to do what you got to do so your business can stay afloat. What you think, Tanika?
I'm probably not going to hire my friends and family.
Okay.
Quite honestly. If my friend is there, I'm 100%. It's probably like 2 people in my family I would hire. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. If my friend is doing something, it would be us doing a joint venture.
Mm.
So not necessarily them like being an employee. But either way it goes, like it still can kind of work the same way. But I would probably try to just avoid like hiring friends and family altogether, truthfully and honestly. My perspective is going from emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I'm not gonna be overly emotional in most cases, like about things that are going on in the workplace, but I am gonna operate from a place of emotional intelligence
Okay.
and also from a place of empathy. And I don't think that's wrong to have in the workplace. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're soft or that your leadership is soft, but you can operate with empathy and still get results that you're looking for.
Yeah, because I had this experience. Well, I had somebody tell me about this experience, or I had it, and they were basically saying, "Oh, we had to let go of like 30 guys," but he gave like an inspirational speech right before and encouraged them, so nobody was mad. They actually came up and thanked him, like, and I was just like, okay. This kind of weird. I'd be pissed if I got, I'll be pissed if I got fired. But like, I guess if you a good leader and if you're good at what you do and you're a good CEO, you can kind of, I wouldn't say play on people's minds because I don't think that's what it is, but you can kind of ease up the tension and ease up that disdain that people might have in the workplace. And like you were saying, I think it's very smart not to hire close people, family, friends, because a lot of times they like to cross boundaries. And I feel like boundaries are so important to have in the workplace because if you don't have boundaries, if you don't have any boundaries, first of all, people are going to think they can do anything and everything. And then if you don't have any standards or whatever, people are going to, if you don't have any standards that you protect and that you stand on, people are going to automatically try to cross them. So you have to establish those early on.
Let me say this.
Uh-huh.
In my book, 911 Crisis Workbook, I have this one rule. If you cannot fire them, do not hire them.
Okay. I totally agree with you. You say if you cannot fire them, don't hire them.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to have to look at that book. You can find that book on MikeTheMoney.com too.
You can go, hit my link and go to my books and you
Okay,
get that book.
good.
You posted about it?
I ain't posted about that book, but it's coming.
Yeah, please do. Well, we're going to wrap up that first segment and we're going to move into our next one. Welcome back to Mike the Money, where we're talking about the emotional side of business. And the next topic we're going to talk about is trauma, triggers, and business decisions. So how does trauma affect a entrepreneur or CEO or whatever you may be in the workplace? How does unresolved trauma affect it? Or can trauma be a good thing?
Can trauma be a good thing?
It can be, right? Push you to do better and stuff. Maybe.
She hesitating, so let me answer
So
this.
my thing,
Oh, let her do
my
it.
thing is going back to like what I said when I was describing about how my old mentor had that business model. That ain't for me. Gonna shut my whole nervous system down. I don't want to deal with all them people like that, right? But whatever you do so choose to have as your business model and direction, you do have to learn emotional regulation. This is very true. Because traumas are going to come up.
Right.
Triggers are going to come up. Even when you feel like you have done most of the healing, you don't know you're not healed until the next trigger comes up.
Right.
So you have to learn how to emotionally regulate. This also goes into people who may deal with trauma that may be related to like imposter syndrome. So I like to tell people that imposter syndrome is something that never really goes away. But you do learn how to manage it better. You have to learn how to manage it better, especially if you're going to be a CEO, a business professional, or a business owner, because it's not going to go away. So you have to figure out how to learn how to do emotional regulation activities. What does that look like? Some form of grounding, some form of breathing. Maybe it's counting. It sounds silly. It sounds silly until you have to do it, right? Maybe it's, let me step away for a second and think about this before I respond. That is a response. That is a legit response. That is okay. Is every situation going to warrant that? No. So you need to have different strategies that can help you with your emotional regulation, because you may be in a high stakes meeting and you may not be able to do that, right? So can I count real quick? Cool. Can I breathe real quick? Cool. That might be the best use of that tool in that situation. That's what I think about it.
Yeah, and I think when I was in therapy, which therapy, I recommend that to everybody, anybody, because it totally helps. One of the things that my therapist recommended, because my emotions have been everywhere since I've been pregnant, it's like she's like, okay, you need to recognize your thought patterns on the front end. So like, okay, this is an emotion, this is a big emotion, anger, for example. What is that stemming from? Like she basically saying, ask yourself questions as you go to see what the root problem is, and when you identify what it actually is, don't put it into this big broad bucket of anger. You can put it into, oh, you're actually just stressed right now and you're tired, you know what I mean? So I that's what I find myself doing. Like if I'm sitting in front of somebody and they're making me mad and it's my boss or something, if I'm starting to feel a certain emotion, I'm like, while they're talking, I'm listening. Maybe not actively, I'm listening, but I'm starting to think in my head, okay, so this is here, this is where it's coming, okay, this is what this is, Jasmine, this is how you can respond now. And I also I have a boss that's also my mentor. He allows me to open up and express myself, which a lot of people don't. But, hey, this is what I'm feeling right now. I might not be able to respond the way you need me to. Give me about 2 or 3 minutes. I'll come back and let you know. So yeah,
That's legit.
I totally feel. Oh yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. You wanted to interject earlier, so come on.
Okay, so we had an earlier episode program when I talking about when you have a business failure, you have to go back and dissect what happened,
Right.
and you have to find out were you the source of the problem or was somebody else.
Right.
And it's if it's you, you can fix you. But if it was caused by somebody else, you say somebody embezzled your money, and now you have trust issues with in your business. Okay, is it founded? You have to ask that question. What could you have done differently? Okay, once you start dissecting the problem and finding out the origin of the problem, whether it's internal or external, it will help you to come up with systems and processes that can help you to get that thing clarified and resolved, so it doesn't cause you that much trauma.
So in your experience, what can you give me an example of an internal and external issue that might have occurred? So I know you talked about embezzlement, and I know
Yes.
you got a lot of experience. So I kind of just want to let the audience know the difference between the two, and how it affected maybe you and your business, or maybe you seen it in somebody else's business.
Well, you have the external embezzlement. Someone found a crack in your system, and they were able to take money away from you.
So like fraud,
Fraud.
or like
Okay.
what is it called? The cybersecurity, where they can get into, what is it called? Hackers. There you go. I think of it.
Hackers, anybody.
Right.
Now, internal is money management.
Right.
Okay, I don't have money management skills. And so I was my biggest problem because I started taking the company money like it was my own piggy bank. And I started gambling and shopping and tripping and vacationing and doing everything with it. So you got to figure out, is it internal or external? Because if it's a trigger, it could be an external trigger. It's like you start feeling a certain kind of way. Now you want to go shop. So you got to know that, hey, this when I get this feeling, I feel vulnerable, and my way to do it is to go shop. So you got to figure out what the trigger is.
And I was just about to say, so a lot of people can't. Some people aren't capable of self-evaluating themselves. Like they're not capable of picking up on behaviors. So could they possibly talk to? They can talk to me because I tell you what you're going wrong. I'm just gonna be honest. So book consultation because I let you know about yourself. But is that something that they can come to one of us and book consultation and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, and then are we then that person to try to track their progress and try and see what they're doing and then tell them the answer to their problem or the situation? Do y'all do that? I mean, I'm just asking. Okay.
Yeah, we'll follow up on the coaching.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
Life coaching.
Well, it depends on the severity of the problem. Okay, so if I'm talking to you and it's like a instructional problem where I can show you how to have a tool to have better money management, then I can help you with that side of the problem.
Right.
But if it's going back in the route that I feel I have inferiority complex, and every time I have low self-esteem, I want to do destructive stuff, then you might have to go to counseling.
Okay, yeah.
Because that trigger right there is not tied into performance, it's tied in your being. And that has to be resolved so you can have inner peace so you can perform.
That makes sense. So audience, if you notice there is a problem, some people don't, but if or somebody tells you there is a problem, it's always wise to seek let's say wise counseling, so a therapist, like you said, counseling or anything of that nature. And some people don't help out with that. Some people can help you with that, and some people can. So make sure you find those correct professionals to go through. We're going to wrap up this segment talking about triggers, trauma, and business decisions. We're going to move into our next one. Welcome back to Mic'd Up Money, where we are talking about the emotional side of business. And the next segment we're going to talk about is emotional regulation for CEOs. So let's get into it. We'll start with Tanika. So why do CEOs have to emotionally regulate versus a regular employee? I mean, it should be obvious, but I want to talk about it.
I mean, because first of all, they're leading people, and they're having to deal with so many different personalities. You're having to deal with so many emotions because, like they always say, you never know what your employees bring in that day. Then you're also having to deal with yourself.
Yeah.
So, did I make the best decisions this day? Was I empathetic enough? Did I actually hear what they said? Did I lead that team directly? Did I give them the best strategy or the best advice? Those types of things. When you're dealing with however many people, just imagine being at a company and you have 500 people that are under you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got a different personality. Everybody believes in different things. Everybody was raised different. Everybody got different environments. Like, it's so many variables, right? So you need to be able to take that into consideration when you step into leadership roles like that, and learn tactics that are going to help you make it through that, because it's going to be different every day.
So if I'm an employee, should I be understanding if my CEO is having a bad day? Or should I just expect them to be 100% all the time because they are the CEO and they get paid their money and I don't?
I mean, I know the painting has been, yes, the CEO needs to be 100% all the time. I think small business probably does better at this. But I think once you get to a bigger size corporation, it probably is just like, we don't care. Like, because at that point, it's more like, we don't care because we put money in your pocket. Like, you got money. Like, everybody always thinks that everything is always tied to money, which most issues are. But that still doesn't mean that you shouldn't have empathy for, your leadership as well, too. Because at the same time, the stuff that you're dealing with on your level of employment, whatever your role is, you may not be able to understand what it's like to be in their role and take on the responsibilities or the troubleshooting or the projects that have to come down the pipeline of their role. So it's a different level of stress, right? So I think you can, and I think in some places you may not care.
Right. Okay. So then okay, do you in your business, do you come in and implement a type of program to show more empathy throughout the organization? Do you do that with your services?
So in terms of organizational development consulting, I have corporate wellness strategy that falls up under that. And so I think that would be a good place for people to come in and say that they want to encourage more well-being in their workplace.
Okay.
To help foster that and like direct that.
Okay. Hey, I'm just asking, look, I'm trying to see what's out there for everybody. So,
yeah, no, like there are programs that can be created like under that umbrella to help foster that and help train people to understand like how to navigate stuff like that.
Yeah. So on the business strategist side of things, how does emotional regulation for CEOs incorporate into that?
I think the thing I found most often is the higher you get into an organization, the more the need for you to be able to think 360.
Okay.
From every vantage point. And a lot of times people only see it from their perspective instead of seeing it from every perspective. And then you have to find the best medium throughout the 360.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's like I was working somewhere where they told people that they was going to have people who were unemployed to come up to Nashville to train for 3 months on their dime. I'm like, if you thought that through that process, it's like, how can unemployed people afford to stay somewhere for 3 months and not get paid?
True.
It kind of made me feel concerned
Right.
about the brain power that's going up on every other topic that's coming past their mind because they only see it from one perspective.
So then I guess to that point, the 360 mindset. So I guess that is the reason why in larger organizations, if you're not a small business, you have not just a CEO, but you have a board of directors. You have like the COO. Lord, don't get me into these seat whatever's, but I can't name all them right now, y'all. I promise.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why you have those
Your
different
C-suite.
seats. Yeah, your C-suite. That's why you have that C-suite. So you can think from a 360 perspective. Now, I think it's very wise to have that because I think it's in corporations. You have to have I think it's corporations. You have to have a certain amount of votes sometimes in order to stay into your seat, or you can get voted out or something like that. How does that kind of work with the emotional regulation side of things? Because if you're sitting in the highest seat, quote unquote, and you get voted out and somebody else votes you in, like what do you think that does to like a CEO's confidence or anything like that?
What's the best example I can think of for this? I think we see it done in our political houses like all the time. Like when you think about the House of Representatives, and they have to have so many votes to be able to retain their seats and stuff like that. I think that's a good example of that. But we also see how chaotic they are sometimes in
messy.
terms of like the emotional punches that they take now. And our president himself is, of course, an emotional roller coaster. He doesn't understand
very
it.
fun.
But you know what I'm saying? So I think when you're in spaces like that, you have to know that there are going to be some people that may not care for you,
Right.
or they may not like you, and that just comes with like leadership, right? I don't know the full like gamut of like how the voting works and what business model represents that. I know maybe in nonprofits that might be true,
And I couldn't even think about that.
but
at the
I don't
moment.
know about for profits per se.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't for profit. A good example is Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Okay.
He founded Apple, and then got kicked out of Apple.
Yeah, I read about that.
And then because they could not make it work, they brought him back. Okay,
Gotcha.
and so the thing about CEO they read a whole lot of literature,
Right.
and they keep abreast of what's going on. And I think that the thing about it is when you do your corporate structure or you do your entity structure, you got to make it so that you can control it as much as possible. But once you go public, it doesn't belong to you anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I got.
Yeah, once you start getting like for Apple is a publicly traded company. So like once you start getting the perspectives of like the people that are like holding shares and stuff like that into the company, yeah, it can get really interesting. That's true. That's true. Okay.
All right, we're gonna wrap up this segment. We're gonna move into our next one. Welcome back to Mic'd Up Money, where we're talking about the emotional side of business. And the next topic we're going to talking about is the emotionally healthy CEO. So, what does that look like for a CEO to be emotionally healthy from a human performance standpoint?
Uh,
Let's go back to the workout videos.
I mean, I'm just saying
About that.
because all of the hormones that are in your brain that go off, your dopamine, your serotonin, I mean, it drops your cortisol. I mean, I could go on and on about why working out helps me as a business owner, but it may not be received well, and it's okay. But I think I think the best thing that you could do as a CEO is to create some sort of wellness routine that works for you.
Okay.
It may not necessarily be working out, but there should be something that you're incorporating into your daily activity that helps you in the form of self-care. So whether that's after 6 o'clock, I'm not taking no more calls, I'm not checking no more emails, the day is cut off.
Right.
After 6 o'clock is for me, right? It could be something as small as that. Or some people like to go on small walks in the middle of the day. That helps them reset when they get ready to, from their first half of their day to the next half of their day. It's something small, but it helps you stay emotionally regulated, and it helps you kind of foster well-being in your daily routine. Maybe you just need to step out, like away from wherever you're working at for a little bit of amount of time. Simple stuff like that. It don't necessarily have to be you working out. Maybe it's you cooking a nourishing meal that you just love to have instead of eating fast food. That gives you all of the funky stress and cortisol and belly fat and all that stuff. But, maybe it's something like that, right? So it just depends on what you create that works for you. You just need to create something that helps foster that.
Because I totally agree with you. You need to have some type of system. You need to have some type of relief because they might not publish it as much, but you do have a lot of people that take their own lives because they're not in an emotionally healthy state. Yeah. And it's because it gets so overwhelming. And like you said, them having a 360 mindset, they got a million things going through their mind. And not to mention, not just the business, the home side of things. What if they're going, what if they're going through something at their home that's
the life of a high-performing person embodies that of well-being. Yeah. They're only going to do stuff that makes them a high performer. They're not going to invest in things that does not foster them performing at a high capacity. So for people who perform at a high capacity, most of them you're going to find that they work out. They're going to tell you they got on their Peloton at 6 in the morning. Okay? They're going to tell you they hired their personal trainer to go be with them at 5 in the morning, right? They're going to tell you that they hired a chef probably to come in and cook for them because they don't have time to worry about driving in nobody's fast food lane. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, when you look at the history of high performers, this is what it looks like. So if you trying to have the same success of said people, it only makes sense to create some sort of routine that follows said way.
It makes sense. Follow in the footsteps of the people that have done it before.
Success
Study their
leaves
lifestyle.
clues.
Yep, there you go.
That's it.
Hey, I like this. Success leaves clues.
It leaves clues.
From your perspective, business strategist for the emotionally healthy CEO, let's hear it.
I once heard a story by Peter Daniels about one of the world's richest guys. Okay. He was so rich you don't even know who he is.
I sure don't.
Because he's rich enough to keep his name out the papers and off the list. But he said he earned a lot of his money by sipping tea.
Sipping tea?
And he said he used to sip tea, and as he sipped tea, he asked the Lord questions like, how does this work? And the Lord would show him something, and then he would invest in that industry, and then he would make more money.
So he made a bunch of money by consulting with his religion, his higher power, and the higher power told him, this is what you need to do. And he did it. And so investments is what made him one of the richest people in the world.
Yes.
I mean, in history. Is it because he's still alive, or I don't know, because I ain't never heard that name.
It's been years since I heard the story.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, instead of him doing all the working out and all this other stuff, he just got still and just asked questions. Okay. And then he got the answers he needed. And he was able to invest in those industries, and he made a lot of money.
I need to be like him. I'm going to start sipping me some tea pretty soon here.
I'm going to just do a little shameless plug. I have a framework in my business that I call Quiet the Noise. And it's literally something very similar. It doesn't have to necessarily be sipping tea, but what he just described was a great example of you shutting out the noise of the world so you can focus on what truly matters. And sometimes you have to be still to be able to receive direction. And that's a lot about what their framework is about. And I've had to do that a lot in my business.
I want to say I totally agree with you. I mean, to me, I feel like this is the name of a dance conference I just did, so I'm just gonna use it. Don't sue me. The power of silence. I think the power of silence is very big because if I have too many people around me, I'm very much introverted. I don't care what nobody say I'm an introvert. And I can't be an ambivert. I can be an extrovert at times when I need to, but I'm an introvert. If I have too much noise around me, if I have too many people around me, I will get really depressed. Like it will drain my social battery so much to where I just cannot function properly. So me in isolation is probably the best time for me to grow because then I get focused, I start studying, I start reading. But if you got too much noise and people are always like, oh, do this, and da-da-da-da, you probably gonna crash. Most definitely. So I think that's a good thing that the most highest performers, they have that time where they can sit down and they can be to themselves and they can just chill and find direction. You know what I mean? And they don't have to have nobody in their ear doing all this stuff. But yeah. So do y'all have any other gems y'all want to drop for the emotionally intelligent CEO? Like maybe some one-liners or advice you want to give out to the audience?
Go first.
Well, I got to always stress that the Bible is the ultimate success book,
Right.
and a lot of people have found success in structures and sayings in the Bible. And I'm just saying that when you're doing all your considering, always consider biblical sources first, because a lot of success principles are based upon biblical sources.
I can agree to that. Okay.
I honestly don't really have anything. I gave a lot.
Okay. You said she gave a lot. Well, we're gonna wrap up this segment and we're gonna move into our last segment where we're gonna talk about our social medias and what we got going on. Welcome back to Mic'd Up Money, where we were talking about emotional intelligence, I believe, during this episode, correct? Yes, makes you correct me. I'm gonna let you do the social medias and I'll talk a little about the website and then we're gonna push forward.
All right, so if you're loving all things Mic'd Up Money, be sure to follow us across all socials at Mic'd Up Money, MICDUPMONEY. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to put voices with faces. We are now on YouTube. Comment, engage, let us know what you like, let us know what you don't like. If you are somebody who is looking to get exposure to a wider audience, we invite you to book the opportunity to be able to come on to the show and be interviewed, tell people more about who you are and what you do. And also, if you are somebody who is trying to work through any of the topics that we discussed here on the show today, feel free to go to our website, www.mic'dupmoney.com, and book your consultation with your desired expert to be able to reach your goals.
And we shall not forget, and this is my first time doing this, about the Mic'd Up Money playbook. It's $12.99 for a subscription. And also, if you go on our website, you can see all the free tools that we have to offer because we do have a lot of them. And yeah, we'll catch you next week on another episode of Mic'd Up Money.
This podcast or broadcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, tax, or professional advice. Always consult a licensed professional for specific advice related to your situation. Thank you.
So